The year is 1025 AD. On the glittering waters of the Bay of Bengal, a fleet unlike anything the medieval world had ever seen cuts through the dawn mist. 500 warships, tens of thousands of warriors. Their destination, the wealthy ports of Southeast Asia. Their commander, Rajendra Chola, the king who dared to make the entire Indian Ocean his empire. This is the story of the greatest naval civilization the ancient world never told you about. Long before Rome fell, long before the Vikings launched their longships, a dynasty rose in the fertile river valleys of southern India, the Cholas. A civilization so advanced, so disciplined, so relentlessly ambitious that at their peak, they didn't just rule the land, they ruled the sea. The Chola Empire stretched across modern-day Tamil Nadu, commanding trade routes from the Persian Gulf to the South China Sea. Their capital, Thanjavur, was a city of breathtaking temples, refined art, and strategic brilliance. But it was the ocean that truly defined them. For the Cholas, the sea was not a barrier, it was a highway. And they built the most powerful machine in the ancient world to dominate it, a royal navy. What made the Chola navy so feared? It started with the ships. Ancient Tamil texts, the Sangam literature, describe vessels of extraordinary size and engineering. The Thuraimugam, deep-water warships, were massive, multi-decked vessels capable of carrying hundreds of warriors across open ocean. Built from teak, one of the hardest, most water-resistant woods on Earth, these ships were engineered for endurance. Chola shipwrights developed a unique construction method called stitched shipbuilding, where planks were bound together with coconut coir rope rather than iron nails. This gave the hull remarkable flexibility, allowing it to absorb the shock of ocean swells without cracking. Modern naval engineers have called this technique centuries ahead of its time. Their fleet was not a single type of vessel, it was a system. Swift scout ships called Thirisadai patrolled ahead of the fleet. Massive troop carriers transported armies across thousands of miles. Fire ships, filled with combustible material, were launched directly into enemy formations. The Chola Navy had invented combined arms warfare at sea, and at the heart of every warship, professional warriors. Trained specifically for maritime combat, boarding enemies, fighting in confined spaces, navigating storms. The sea was their battlefield, and they had mastered every inch of it. But ships and soldiers alone don't win empires. You need knowledge. And the Cholas possessed something extraordinary, a deep, generational understanding of the Indian Ocean itself. Chola navigators studied the monsoon wind system with scientific precision. They knew that the southwest monsoon, blowing from June to September, would carry a fleet rapidly towards Southeast Asia, and that the northeast monsoon, reversing from October to December, would bring them home. They didn't fight the ocean, they used it. Ancient Tamil navigation manuals described reading the stars, tracking ocean currents, and identifying deep water routes by the color and temperature of the sea itself. Chola captains could navigate across open water, out of sight of land for weeks, with a confidence that would not be matched by European sailors for another 4 centuries. This wasn't just skill. It was accumulated empire-building knowledge passed down through generations of Tamil seafarers who had been trading across the Indian Ocean since at least 300 BC. The Chola Navy stood on the shoulders of 1,000 years of maritime wisdom. And then came the man who changed everything, Rajendra Chola I, the son of the great Rajaraja Chola, who had already built the empire into a continental superpower. But Rajendra had a vision that went beyond the subcontinent. He looked east at the fabulously wealthy Srivijaya Empire, controlling the Strait of Malacca and the entire spice trade of Southeast Asia. In 1025 AD, Rajendra launched the most audacious military campaign in medieval Asian history. A naval expedition of over 500 ships, carrying an estimated 100,000 men, crossing over 1,500 miles of open ocean to strike at the heart of Srivijaya. The targets were precisely chosen: Kadaram, modern-day Kedah in Malaysia; Srivijaya in Sumatra; Panay in the Malay Peninsula. Port after port fell to the Chola fleet, not in random raiding, but in a calculated strategic campaign to break Srivijaya's stranglehold on Indian Ocean trade. Contemporary inscriptions at the Thanjavur temple record each conquest with the precision of a military communique. They describe enemies fleeing in terror, war elephants captured, treasuries emptied, and the Chola flag planted across thousands of miles of coastline. Rajendra returned home not just with plunder, but with something more valuable: dominance. The Indian Ocean trade routes were now open. Chola merchants followed the fleet, establishing trading colonies from Sri Lanka to Sumatra. The wealth that flowed back to Tamil Nadu funded an explosion of temple building, art, and scholarship that historians call the Chola Golden Age. The Chola Navy didn't just win battles, it reshaped the world. The cultural footprint of Chola maritime power can still be traced across Southeast Asia today. In the temples of Cambodia, Thailand, and Indonesia, you find architectural echoes of Dravidian design. In the languages of Malaysia and Indonesia, you find Tamil loanwords for trade, commerce, and the sea. The Chola campaigns didn't just conquer, they connected. At home, the wealth and prestige of naval power funded the construction of the Brihadishwara Temple in Thanjavur, a UNESCO World Heritage Site assembled with an engineering precision that still baffles architects today. A monument built not by divine miracle, but by the power of an empire that ruled the seas. The Chola Navy, at its peak, was arguably the most powerful maritime force between the fall of Rome and the rise of the Portuguese. And yet, it remains one of history's least told stories. Perhaps because the victors usually write history. And in the Indian Ocean, for 3 glorious centuries, the Cholas wrote it in salt water and fire. The empire eventually faded, as all empires do. Internal conflict, shifting trade winds of politics, and the rise of new powers slowly dimmed the Chola flame. By the 13th century, the dynasty that had ruled the seas was gone. But the sea remembers. In the monsoon winds that still sweep across the Bay of Bengal every year, in the spice trade routes that shaped the modern world, in the DNA of cultures stretching from Tamil Nadu to the islands of Southeast Asia. The Cholas remind us that the story of human achievement is far wider, far older, and far more magnificent than any single civilization's history books will tell you. They ruled the ocean, and for a brief blazing moment in the story of our world, that was everything. If this story moved you, share it, because some legacies deserve to sail again.